Hey Buddy Fighters, welcome back to another deck profile. Today we're doing a deck profile for the Mini Geargods. Now, they're new cards, if you want to call it an archetype, technically they're not. From Rainbow Striker, we saw them in the anime, they have some cool destruction effects. So yeah, I thought, you know what, I've got extra cards, and I'm going to try and make a deck with some low rarity cards you can get from the trial decks, double rares, and lower, and try and make a deck that basically functions well and can be really fun to play. So I've done that. Absolutely love this deck, but without further ado, let's just get straight into the deck profile. So, I've got a foil of Mini Geargod Red right here. Let me just move the deck over right here. So, that is the Buddy monster, and we've got the flag and the Wisdom life counter, as you guys can see. Unfortunately, I don't have any size 30 or greater monsters in this deck, hence because, you know, Mini Geargods. So, that's why, that's a big problem with the Chaos, because their abilities can be nullified, they can be destroyed and all that by card effects. But I'm perfectly okay with it, and it's a really fun deck to play with having a ton of size 3s. So, first card, we've got Mini Geargod Purple right here. So, Purple has the ability to destroy set spells if you put him to drop zone and pay 1 gauge. He's also got Chaos Territory as well, with 2 critical and 5,000 power, 4,000 defense. So, it's a nice card really to have, so 4 copies, just because I can grab him with Mini Geargod's Factory, as well as, you know, just having that 2 crit attacker and Chaos Territory as well, which is really nice. So, I've got 4 copies of him right there in the deck. Moving on, I've got 3 copies of Mini Geargod Red. Now, there are a lot of cards like Draw Cross and the new Night items that are indestructible. They can't be destroyed by card effects, which is why I only run 3 of him. But there are other pesky items, stuff from Hero World, Dungeon World, stuff like that you can deal with and get rid of at certain times if they're not indestructible. So this guy can be pretty helpful, you know, prisms, stuff like that. So, choose item opponent's field, you may pay 1 gauge, put this card for field and drop zone if you do destroy a chosen card. And of course, Chaos Territory and that 7,000 power is really nice as well. I only have 2 copies of the green, blue, and yellow, so we'll have a look at those. We got Mini Geargod Green right here. So, 814 size 3 monster. When this card attacks and destroys your opponent's monster or deals damage to your opponent, you may put this card from field and drop zone and deal 2 damage. So, especially when you have a lot of double attackers or other stuff on your field, your opponent really has to choose in between stuff. And again, all the minis have Chaos Territory, which is really nice as well. So you get 4 monsters on your field pretty easily, and the fact that these guys all have no call cost is really nice as well. So, 2 copies of Mini Geargod Green, 2 copies of yellow. I only have 1 copy of Mini Geargod's Factory, which I'm pretty sure you guys already know what it does, but I'll talk about it later. Pretty much, it allows you to search for him, and when he deals damage or destroys an opponent's monster, you put him to the drop zone, and if you do, you can steal your opponent's gauge, which can be really annoying. And also, again, you can grab him from Mini Geargod's ability in Chaos Territory. So, 2 copies of him, and 2 copies of blue. I do have Machining Sacrifice, which we'll talk about later. But this card's really nice because you can choose attacking opponent's monster, pay 1 gauge for this card, drops in, destroy a chosen card, Chaos Territory, and 722, some nice stats. So, 2 copies of blue. Now, I've got a lot of draw power, so usually the deck is pretty consistent in bringing out a lot of stuff. So, I've got 3 Osirises right here because these are all that I have. So, really spamming a lot of draw power and just having your minis on the field, getting ready to counter your opponent, definitely give you a nice advantage. And of course, getting back to Mini Geargod's Factory and trying to set up. So we've got Chaos Osiris here, pretty simple card. Call to your left or right, have a monster, center, gauge, and draw. It's a named ability, but it's still, like, you need the gauge and draw power in the Chaos, just because, you know, you're starting with that 4-card hand. 3 copies of Chaos, if I can say that, Sekisetsu. From the trial deck. So it's a really nice card because it's a cycle. When it enters field, you can discard a card for hand, gauge, and draw. I'll show you guys a combo later, so I'll put one to the side. But I've got 3 copies in the deck just because it's a really nice cycle card. If you have too many spells in your hand or anything you want to get rid of or get into the drop zone for other card effects, you can just do that, free gauge and draw. It's just a really good card. And again, you can get it back from the drop zone with cards like Chaos Gorgas. You can grab whatever monster you need, Chaos monster you need from the drop zone with Chaos Gorgas' ability. So he's a really nice card to have. I've got 3 of him in the deck. 2 copies of Osiris from X Dual Chest. Put 2 monsters to spell on your bottom of your deck. Gauge, you gain a life, and draw a card. Really, really nice. And then 1 copy of Chaos Rising Flare, because that's all I have. Get cards into your drop zone for grabbing for Chaos Gorgas or your other card effects. And you can also have got card destruction and extra draw power too if you're lucky. Chaos Elbron, mill 2 draw. It's simple draw power in the deck, 1 copy. Now, onto the, how do you want to call it? The stars of the deck. So I've got 2 copies, actually no, the stars of the deck are Mini Geargods, but these are the cards that are going to win you the game. So we've got 2 copies of Century of Auto Deity, Chaos Dragolem. It's a 8/3/5 size 3 monster, call cost, pay 1 gauge. When this card attacks, for this turn a monster you feel gets gets power plus 5,000 and critical plus 2, and he has penetrate. So, you can give this to a double attacker, which we're going to have a look at. You can pull off some crazy combos, get some 4 or 5 crit doubles hackers, and just really get some lethal damage out there to your opponent and rush them for the game. So 2 copies of him, that's all you get from X Dual Chest. Wish I had more copies of this guy, but I've got 1 copy of Chaos Campery right here. It's a 7/3/7, so those are some nice stats, and 3 crit is really nice. He's 2 gauge to call. When this card attacks, you gain 2 life. Then if you have 2 or other monsters you field for this turn, this card gets double attack. So basically, if you can pull up that double attack, so you attack, you gain 2 life, his ability to other monsters, stay on double attack, that's 4 life. I also have 1 copy's Ruler's Privilege, and I've also got the Impact that gives you another attack phase, so you can just gain even more life if you need it. So it's a really nice card, and that 3 crit, again, pairing up with this, you got a 5 crit double attacker, which is really nice for like a small budget deck, if you want to call it that. 1 copy of Chaos Dealt Bolt, because set spells and items can be annoying sometimes. Also, you can stack soul with him, so fairly simple card. Put 1 or more Chaos or Black Knights from your field in this card's soul and pay 2 gauge. Counteract, choose an item monster in your post field. You may put this card. Sorry, you can put a soul in this card field and drop something if you do. Destroy chosen card, soul card. Chaos Freja. There. Okay. 7/2/6 /3 monster, 2 gauge. When this card is for your hand, you can pay 1 gauge. You do call this card without paying its call cost. When this card is field, destroy monster in your opponent's field. If you do, deal 1 damage, gain a life, and double attack. So basically, you can call Chaos Sekisetsu, discard this card from your hand. You get to gauge and draw. Then you can pay that 1 gauge or whatever gauge you already have and call this card. So it's a really nice combo, these 2. If I had more, I would include more copies of Chaos Freja. And again, that destruction is really nice with Machining Sacrifice too. 1 copy of Body of Dark Arms Ibuki, because it's the only one I have. This card is just incredible. It's not exact. It's basically like Shadow Stitch formation, if you want to call that, or technique. Pretty much 2 gauge skull, 9/2/3. Those are some nice stats, and it's got double attack and ambush. Ambush doesn't really do much, because, you know, again, I don't have cards that put into soul face down. But when this card enters field, you can choose a monster in your opponent's field, and during this turn and next turn, I don't know why I keep mixing that up. During this turn and next turn, that card cannot stand. So it shuts down double attackers, triple attackers, quadruple attackers, and items as well that can be annoying or gain your opponent extra effects or life or draw power. And also, if it enters field by ambush, you can rest the card, but again, I don't have anything that puts face down, so this is kind of useless, but it's a really great card. It basically can shut down double attackers and give you a nice advantage sometimes. Chaos Carbuncle right here, the rare version, 7/2/5. So it's a free call monster, and you can also use this counteract to nullify attacks, just a bit more defense. And it's really nice because I have electrification, so you need some free call monsters. 2 copies of Population Reduction. You put a size 3 or greater monster from your field in the drop zone, and pay 1 life, draw 2 cards, very simple. Nice draw 2 card. 1 who comes from Havoc from the trial deck, really nice draw 2 again. Pay 1 gauge, you have 2 or more Chaos, draw 2 cards, really nice draw power. Auto Deity's Favor. So for all those double attackers and minis, Geargods as well, you want some Penetrate, extra draw power. Here it is right here. Choose up 2 monsters you field for this turn, give them Penetrate. Then you have 3 or more size 3 or greater monsters you field, draw cards. So with Mini Geargod having Chaos Torture, you can fill up your field, use a lot of these cards and just get a lot more gauge and hand cards and get a lot of combos out there. Electrification. I really like this card. I don't know why. It's just really great. It works well. Chaos Territory from the minis. 2 copies is enough for the deck, so you can only cast this card if you have 4 more monsters field, gauge, life, and draw 2. So another draw 2, just a lot of spam power, spam draw power for this deck. 2 copies of Chaos Wall, Barrier of Havoc. You only cast this card as you attack your opponent's turn if you have 2 more Chaos on your field. Nullify attack, and top card deck 2 gauge, so it's basically like your Blue Dragon Shield for Chaos. 2 copies right there. 2 copies of Machining Sacrifice, because you can counter call cards like Mini Geargod, Blue, Freja? I don't know why I can't say that name. Other cards you might need, again, you have to use it during your opponent's turn, but for example, if your opponent, let's say, I don't know, has a double attacker on their field, they attack you for 2 damage, and then you can bring out something, maybe to distract them as well, like bring out Chaos Drugolem, because they know they have to attack that, or else they're going to get, or else Drugolem can boost cards in your field and give them some pretty crazy attacking power. So that counter call is really nice. So during your opponent's turn, cast cost, put a monster in field and drop zone, counter, call size 3 or greater monster. Yeah, okay, greater monster. For some reason, I thought it was less. Call size 3 or greater monster from your drop zone by paying its call cost. So you can use that with all the minis, just any monster from your drop zone, which is really nice. Again, it has to be used during your opponent's turn, which is a bit of a problem, but it's still really nice defensively. 1 copy of Sunken Ruins. It's gauge, it stops effect damage, it's just really good. Cards in your drop zone, you pay 1 life and set it. And size 3 or greater damage L2 is reduced by 1. And when monsters on your field attacks, gauge 1 once per turn. Mini Geargods Factory, beginning of your turn, put the top 3 cards of your deck into drop zone, put any number of monsters with Mini Geargods from your hand. Basically helps you fill up your hand. Cards like population reduction, stuff like that. It really just helps you with filling up your field and just gaining advantage and draw power. So it's really nice. And again, Mini Geargods can counter stuff like your opponent's items, your spells, stuff like that. So 1 copy works. And the final 2 cards, Ruler's Privilege. Already talked about this. I don't think it really needs to be explained. Stand or just access to drop zone is really nice. So 1 copy right there. And of course, from the X Dual Chest, Directive Code, Force Reboot, 4 gauge, stand all chaos on your field. You get another attack phase. This card is just really great, especially with something like minis that do not include cards like Geargod that are 3 gauge, 2 gauge to call, and you're just trying to do crazy stuff. But you have a lot of gauge and draw power in this deck, and Chaos Sekisetsu isn't once per turn, and it's not named either, so you can keep spamming it to get that gauge or draw power that you need. So this card is just great. Like, your opponent's just going to underestimate you. They're not even going to care about the minis, and boom, just pop this card, stand all your minis, finish off your opponent. It's just a really nice card to have in the deck, and definitely, obviously, adds a lot more offense. So, that's it for me for Mini Geargods. Give me a second. I kind of just want to show a little example of the deck, so I'll be right back.